Hi everyone, welcome to our second episode. Today I'm having a cup of delicious Colombian coffee. Hi Javi, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Well, I am really happy to be here sharing this interesting cup of coffee with you all.
Javi is in Argentina. He is an English teacher at Granaderos San Martin and Niñas de Ayohuama Elementary School in Buenos Aires. Javi is one of our students in the TESOL Certificate Development and Online Teaching Program. We usually use the acronym, so it's DOTP. Javi is very active in our discussion forums. Last week, he actually made a video and he took us to the high school he attended. So it's crazy how we've never met in real life, but I feel like we've gotten to know each other online. So, how have you liked being part of this program, Javi?
I feel that being part of the program was a great opportunity to learn. It was the first time that I took a fully online course, and it was a challenge, I must confess. However, I realized how rewarding it was to learn from others, but most importantly, to learn supported by others in this cozy online environment provided by the TESOL community.
Well, that is awesome. And, we're very lucky to have you in the program. And today we have also a very, very special guest. She's actually the person who designed this program, the DOTP program, a few years ago. And so I'm going to welcome Dr. Dawn Bikowski. Thanks for accepting the invitation. Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Saying hello from the beautiful Monterey, California. It's great to talk with you, and I'm really excited about this idea of yours. I think it's a wonderful endeavor that connects us all.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we can do now with technology, and I'm glad that you are here with us today. So, Javi, can you do the honors and let us know more about Dr. Don Bykowski?
Sure. Dr. Bikowski is an associate professor at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. Her academic background is in applied linguistics and educational technology, with research focusing on educational technology, global teaching and learning, and academic and professional communication. International conferences and workshops, curriculum development projects, and program assessments have taken her to several countries worldwide. She's the author of numerous journal articles and co-author the book Teaching with a Global Perspective, Practical Strategies from Course Design to Assessment, published by Routledge, as well as being a co-creator and long-term instructor of TESOL International's online certificate program, developing an online teaching program.
Well, you have a very impressive profile. You've done quite a lot, and I'm really lucky and fortunate to work with you. I've learned a lot from you, and this course has been amazing. Like my students have given me really good comments about the content and everything that you've put together for us. So thank you, Don.
Glad you like it.
So, are you guys ready to get down to business and answer this week's question?
Absolutely.
So, the question is yes, Javi, are you ready? Okay, so the question is teaching pronunciation important in the age of world Englishes? What are your thoughts on this? So, I'm just going to open the floor here for whoever wants to speak.
I believe that English pronunciation is a bit difficult at the beginning because there are so many similar sounds to recognize that it makes it difficult. However, once you get used to them, it becomes easier, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a great point that practice is important, and practice requires people to feel comfortable taking risks and doing the practice. So I think World Englishes opens up more opportunities for people to feel more comfortable practicing and more comfortable speaking the English that they hear around them and that they are capable, kind of most able to produce, let's say. So I think of World English as a real acceptance of the varieties of English that are spoken around the world. I think it's a huge contribution to the field, not only for pronunciation, but for all language, speakers, because there's no longer this idea of a certain group of people being the native speaker models who get to make all the decisions and they're the only ones who kind of know how to speak English correctly. That's no longer the case. Rather, teachers can look to their own situation and what their students need English for, and then say, okay, focus on comprehensibility within that context. Understanding that no English is more right than another variety of English. They're all equally correct and right and appropriate, but it can matter in terms of comprehensibility. So if a student wants to be able to travel outside of their region or communicate with people outside of their region, maybe their region speaks a certain variety of English with a certain accent. But if they're going to go and communicate with others outside of that region, then it's going to really help to be aware of the different variations of the sounds of English with pronunciation, and also how they can alter their own English to be more understood. So it's not a focus of right and wrong anymore, but just a focus on comprehensibility. And I think that changes a lot of the way teachers can teach and the way students can feel about themselves. They don't have to feel bad anymore. Anytime they're understood, they can just feel good about that communication. And all those good feelings add to engagement and motivation, which then leads to more language production. And so it's just, I think, a win-win all over.
I love that, and I love what you said about not having just one single variety be like the variety or the standard English or the right way, but really acknowledging like the diversity, and that we English has become this international language that everybody speaks. And like in my experience, like for example, I lived in the United States for about 8 years, and so as a college student, like in my PhD, like there were lots of international students, so like everybody had a different accent, and so that was a little bit difficult for me at the beginning. Because all of my life I had only been exposed to American accents, and so it took me a while, and now I'm working with the UK, so now I'm learning that. And so that makes me think that as a teacher, it's important, like for me, I want to keep pronunciation, I want to keep teaching that, and maybe IPA, we talked about this last week, but I want to also expose my students to different accents. And so I would want to, try, sometimes textbooks are only American English and they're labeled that way, or only British English. But I would want to bring some other videos like on YouTube or something where I can show them like other types and other, accents and varieties. I think that's very important to include that variety. And also the other thing is that when we speak, we are negotiating meaning. And so, for example, when I speak with other natives, with other Spanish speakers, like I get their mistakes and they understand mine too. So, for example, I remember that when I was little, I learned the word apple, like apple, like I was taught that it was pronounced apple. And so, like, if I say that to somebody else who doesn't speak English, or sorry, Spanish, they will not know what I'm saying. So, like, if I say, like, hey, can I get an apple? Like, what are you talking about? But Spanish speakers know what I'm saying, but other people would not. And so I think it's important to still, like, work on pronunciation, but really include that variety. And I guess that's kind of, like, my thought on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think people sometimes wonder, if we talk about world Englishes, does that mean that there's no more instruction with like right or wrong or something like that? And I don't think that's really the case. I think sometimes people think, oh, well, how am I supposed to teach when anything is wide open? But to me, I don't see world English as anything being wide open, but rather that the context determines the communication. So you as a teacher just have to know a lot about your students. You have to know a lot about where they're going to be speaking their English, kind of what's going on in the world. It puts more, I think, responsibility, but also more creativity and more interest within the English teacher's job, because you get to really look at so many more things. Like you said, more materials that have different accents, and able to look at just in general all of the beauty of the world around you and think about all the possibilities that your students will have as they interact. So one of the examples that I like to consider for this, because I kind of try to think concretely when I work with teachers, is in the US, we offer teaching assistantships. Many universities offer teaching assistantships, and international students, anybody loves a teaching assistantship because it means, yeah, you get, some money off of, you get an almost free or a free education, and anybody's going to love that. So international students have many extra, hoops to jump through in order to get those teaching assistantships. And one of them is to be understood by their student population, maybe pass a speaking test of some kind in order to even be cleared and given the money. And so you could take someone from any other country, maybe, Nigerian English or something, and at home, they're completely understood. Nigerian English has a much different accent from North American English. And so if I were to go to Nigeria, which I haven't been, I'm sure that I would struggle to understand many things. The intonation patterns are very different. The rhythm of the language is just very different. The speed, the pausing is very different, word stress. And so it's not that their English in some way is bad or it's not, appropriate English. It's their English and it's great English. But when they're coming to the US, if they want to be competitive, a student wants to be competitive, they're going to have to learn how to speak a variety of English that is understood by people in North America. And I say it's like the old tools in the toolbox metaphor, where it's not that you're getting rid of your Nigerian English or your accent from home, but rather that you're adding more comprehensibility and accents into your kind of toolbox, where if you're just with a bunch of friends, you speak one way, but if you're in a different context, you speak a different way. And we do this all the time in our lives. So it's just a variation on that theme. I think it's really important when the more that people speak English around the world, that teachers really, really try to question their own teaching and how they present things to students, because many students will get deeply offended if we try to act as if their English is wrong in some way, when it's not wrong, it's a different variety. And so I think the more we as teachers can really honor that and appreciate that and present things as being, depending on context, the context drives the decisions, then it becomes a lot more accepting and people can really embrace the idea that, hey, we're just trying to communicate, and the more we can understand each other, the better. That's how I try to approach it.
I love that, and I mean that makes me think that this is also true for Spanish, for example. Like there are so many countries in the world that speak Spanish, and we all have different words, different ways to communicate. But when we have to speak with each other, and everybody thinks that like, oh, my accent is the best. Everybody thinks like, oh, I have no accent. But we all do, and when we communicate with other people, we have to use words that are understandable by everyone. So like I guess it's the same case when it comes to world Englishes. So Javi, do you have any other thoughts?
I think that I agree with you all. I believe that we must respect the English's variations, and that because as Dawn said, we can get many insights from this variation in order to get the communication. That is, I believe it is really important.
Well, that's great, Javi. I don't know if you have any other thoughts. We're trying to keep these videos short. I know it's difficult to keep things short, but I don't know if you have any other ideas or thoughts you want to share with us today.
Javi or me?
Both of you, either one.
I have one final thought.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is when I think about world Englishes, I think the other opportunity it offers us is to remember to really focus or at least not ignore the suprasegmentals. I think all too often pronunciation is it's ignored, or people overly obsess on the phonemes. And sometimes those phonemes are absolutely important, but sometimes the phonemes, for example, the difference between v and w in Spanish speakers when they come to English, or L's and R's with many, speakers of Asian languages, they really don't make that much of a difference to understanding. They have an accent, but they really don't impact understanding that much. What really impacts understanding for North American speakers anyway, which I am, so I can, I can speak to myself, is intonation patterns, the suprasegmentals. And all too often, those have been ignored by, or, overlooked or minimized by English teachers. And that's really where it makes a difference. The pausing, the intonation, the word stress, the speaking rate, all those things, you can mispronounce many individual phonemes, and we can still understand you. But if you vary too much in those intonation patterns and suprasegmentals, even if all your phonemes are absolutely, understandable independently, we just can't hardly understand anything. So I think the world English context idea too allows us to really think more about suprasegmentals and how important they are in comprehensibility, which is really the focus.
That is absolutely true, and I think we talked about that a little bit in our last episode, but I agree. And as teachers, we need to be aware of that and include that. Like not only teach IPA or like you said, individual sounds, but more stress and what words should be like highlighted. And this is kind of difficult. I know it's not that easy. It's easier. It's not as easy as it sounds, but it is really the secret to communication. So, well, thank you, Dr. Bikowski and Javi, for all your ideas and your insights. We had a very interesting question today, and so thanks everyone who is watching as well. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Take care. Enjoy that
Thank you.
teaching.